Discover how a black maid's son unlocked a $200 million safe in 30 minutes, changing lives forever. In the heart of a bustling southern town, 17-year-old Marcus Thompson lived in a world filled with dreams. He was the son of a hardworking black maid, raised in a cozy little home that hummed with laughter, love, and the sweet scent of his mother's cooking. She taught him the value of family and the importance of community, her wisdom resonating through their modest walls. Marcus often felt the warmth of their tight-knit neighborhood, filled with faces of resilience and hospitality, reminding him he was never alone. One sweltering summer afternoon, under the weight of dust and sunlight, Marcus helped his mother at the historic mansion, a grand testament to the town's past. As he dusted the shelves in the dim and musty basement, a flicker of curiosity tugged at him. He noticed something unusual: an old rusty safe hidden beneath decades of forgotten memories. Heart racing, he knelt down, brushing away cobwebs and grime, trying to comprehend the weight of this discovery. Could it be treasure? With determination sparking in his veins, Marcus fiddled with the lock. It clicked. He opened the heavy door to reveal bundles of cash stacked like dreams come to life. $200 million, just waiting to be realized. Tears welled in his eyes. This wasn't just money. It was hope, a chance to uplift families like his, a light in their struggle against the shadows of prejudice and despair. As word of the safe rippled through the town, exhilaration danced in the air. But soon after, whispers of division took root. To some, Marcus became a beacon of change. To others, the sight of that fortune ignited fear, threatening their fragile grip on power. "This is our moment," some cried, while others warned him to stay silent, echoing the oppressive past that clung to their lives. Caught in this whirlwind, Marcus felt the weight of the community on his shoulders. His mother's gentle voice resonated in his head, urging caution, while the voices of his neighbors buzzed with urgency for change. Every conversation weighed heavier than the last, with fear and hope both swirling around him like a summer storm. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. In the days that followed, powerful figures began to loom around Marcus, attempting to silence him with intimidation. Each confrontation revealed painful truths, the ghosts of injustice unfolding before him. The truth was ugly, steeped in a history of inequality, but a fire ignited in him. He was a young man wedged between fear and courage, wrestling with the question of whether to speak out for his community. Standing on the precipice of change, Marcus clutched the hope that the safe's contents held. This wasn't just about money. It represented a chance to rewrite the narrative for every family enduring hardship. Would he find the courage to stand up? Would his bravery awaken the spirit of unity in the chaos, or set off a battle that would fracture their bonds forever? The answer hung in the air as he poised to step into his destiny, the weight of history bearing down on him and the town waiting for transformation. The days turned into a whirlwind of emotions, each moment filled with anticipation and dread. The town felt charged, the energy swelling as neighbors whispered and debated. As Marcus walked down the familiar streets, he noticed the glances thrown his way, some filled with admiration, others with veiled threats. It was as if he had slipped into a different dimension, where the consequences of a young man's discovery ripped through the fabric of their community. He found himself standing outside the local diner, a hub of conversations and laughter. The familiar jingling of the doorbell accompanied him as he stepped in, taking a deep breath of greasy fries and coffee. His mother had often shared stories of her early days working there, her smile warm, her laughter ringing through the air. Today, however, shadows loomed over his heart. "Marcus, you all right, son?" Mr. Whitaker, the diner's owner, called out. The older man's voice was filled with concern, lines of worry etched deep on his face. "Yeah, just thinking about everything," Marcus replied, forcing a smile. The way Mr. Whitaker tilted his head told Marcus that he knew more than he let on. "People are riled up, kid. You know those who want to silence you won't give up easily," Mr. Whitaker warned, glancing toward a group of men huddled in a corner booth. They were murmuring, their expressions dark. Marcus felt a tightening in his chest. He knew too well the depths people could go to protect their interests. I can't just let this go. This money could change lives, he said, his voice barely above a whisper. Mr. Whitaker nodded slowly, eyes penetrating. I see the weight on your shoulders. But remember, change often demands sacrifice. Are you ready for what comes next? The question hung in the air, a heavy mist that felt suffocating. Marcus wrapped his fingers tightly around his phone, his lifeline to his mother, who always had the right words to ease his fears. He could hear her voice in his mind, strong and loving, encouraging him to stand firm. Fueled by her spirit, Marcus decided it was time to act. The safe held more than just money. It held the potential to breathe life back into their struggling town. But he knew he couldn't do it alone. I have to talk to the others, he said, determination building. Later that evening, under the dim glow of streetlights, Marcus gathered a group of trusted friends and neighbors in the community park. They stood in a circle, shadows flickering against the trees as he laid out his plan. This is our chance, he began, heart pounding in his chest. If we come together, we can use the money to build schools, help families, and create jobs. Some faces lit up with excitement, while others cast doubt. But what about the people who want to stop us? They're already watching. Someone exclaimed, fear seeping into their words. We can't let fear win, Marcus replied, the fire in his gut roaring. Change is scary, but it's also necessary. We need to stand together and show them we're not afraid. As he spoke, the air shifted. A sense of unity blossomed, a flicker of hope igniting in desperate hearts. They began to share their dreams: better schools, health clinics, and safe spaces for youth to grow. Each vision painted a picture of a future free from chains of the past. But just as excitement bubbled, a figure loomed at the edge of the park, silhouetted against the night. Marcus squinted, his breath hitching. It was Mayor Henderson, a man known for wielding power like a blade. The tension in the air thickened as the truth struck hard. This was no longer just a community meeting. It was a declaration of war against what had always been. Don't think for a second that you can take that money without consequence, the mayor's voice thundered, leaving no room for doubt. Marcus felt every pair of eyes turn to him, and in that moment he realized that everything was about to change. Would he meet the challenge, or would fear consume their light? The choice before him was daunting, the weight of the future pressing heavily on his shoulders, urging him to find the strength within. As he met the mayor's piercing gaze, one question rang clearly in his mind. How far was he willing to go to protect the dream he dared to chase? The murmur of voices faded as the weight of the mayor's words settled in the air around them. Marcus's heart raced, not just from fear, but from a surge of adrenaline. He could sense the shift in the crowd, the flicker of fear grappling with the burgeoning hope. This wasn't merely a fight against authority. This was a fight for their future. Leave Henderson, Marcus managed to say, his voice steady despite the shaking in his hands. You have no right to threaten us. The mayor smirked, a cruel smile that sent chills down Marcus's spine. I have every right. You see, young man, you may think this money can save your little town, but you can't change the rules. I've been in charge long enough to know how things work around here. His words were sharp, like a blade cutting through their vision of hope. Marcus felt the air thicken with tension, his friends gathering closer, forming a protective circle around him. They were behind him, and the unity they had forged felt like a shield. A voice broke through the stillness. It was Maria, an older woman whose laughter always lifted spirits. No matter your power, Henderson, we are not afraid. Her eyes glinted with determination. We're not here to ask for permission. We're here to claim what's ours. Her words sparked a reaction. More voices chimed in, their unity swelling like a tide. We will fight. No more silence. This is our town. The momentum in the park shifted, transforming fear into a fierce resolve. Marcus felt it course through him, awakening a courage that had been buried beneath doubt. He took a step forward, glancing back at his friends who nodded, encouraging him to keep going. Listen, everyone, he shouted, his voice rising above the chaos. This is our moment. We should show him that we stand together. We deserve better schools, better jobs, a life without fear of oppression or silence. A surge of energy rippled through the crowd. Marcus locked eyes with the mayor, refusing to back down. Their gazes collided, and in that confrontation, he felt a fire ignite within him. He could be the voice they needed, the catalyst for true change. Mayor Henderson stepped closer, brows furrowed. You think you can rally these people and change the way things are done? This isn't a fairy tale, kid. You're just a boy playing with fire. Marcus could almost feel the heat radiating from their shared hostility. Maybe, he replied, raising his chin defiantly. But it's time for a new story. One where we control our destiny. The mayor's expression darkened, but before he could respond, Maria stepped forward again. If you want to fight us, then fight us. But know this, it will be the last fight you have in this town if you try to silence us. The crowd erupted in agreement, their spirits unyielded. Marcus watched as their fear transformed into determination, ignited by the belief that they could challenge the status quo. He felt the weight of each soul around him, an unbreakable chain that bound them together in their fight for dignity. Suddenly, the mayor's phone buzzed in his pocket, a break in the tension. His gaze shifted, a moment of distraction. In that instant, Marcus seized the opportunity, raising his voice once again. This is not just about the money. This is about our lives, our families, our future. And we will not be silenced. Henderson glared at him, but the moment had passed. His authority faltered amidst the growing roar of community voices. As the crowd chanted their demands, Marcus felt a sense of hope swell within him, but alongside that hope was a gnawing anxiety. How far would the mayor go to quell their spirit? As the energy pulsated around him, an unspoken challenge lingered in the air. The fight was far from over, and they were just getting started. Would they be ready when the mayor retaliated? The battle had only begun, and Marcus knew the stakes were higher than ever. What sacrifice would it take to achieve their dream? The night was dark, but a spark had ignited a revolution in their hearts, and that was only the beginning. The energy in the park was electric. Marcus could feel the pulse of the crowd weaving around him like a living thing, breathing hope and defiance into the cool night air. The mayor's smirk faded slightly, replaced by the realization that he was losing control. The chants grew louder, drowning out the doubt still nagging at Marcus's heart. Together. He called out again, lifting his hands. This isn't just about us. It's about our children and what kind of future we want to build for them. Together. Echoed the crowd, voices rising in a powerful crescendo. In that moment, Marcus felt unstoppable. But he also sensed Henderson's frustration simmering beneath the surface. The mayor's phone buzzed again, this time more insistently. He glanced down, and that brief moment of distraction reminded Marcus how critical this hour was. Don't let him intimidate you. A voice rang out from behind him. It was Jake, a friend and longtime ally from the neighborhood. We know what he is trying to do. We can't back down. Marcus turned, meeting Jake's fierce gaze. He thought about all the nights they'd spent dreaming of change, laughing, and sometimes crying over the injustices they faced. The pain that united them was a thread, weaving their stories into a collective tapestry of resilience. The mayor, realizing he was losing the crowd, clenched his fists. The fire in Marcus's chest urged him to keep pushing. Look around. He shouted, sweeping his arms wide. These people are standing together against the darkness you threaten us with. Together we are stronger than your greed. A roar erupted from the crowd, echoing like thunder. Suddenly, the mayor's bravado crumbled, replaced by a flash of anger. You think I will let this continue? He snapped, voice cracking with fury. You'll regret this, just like the last group of fools who thought they could outsmart me. Marcus's heart raced. The bile of fear twisted in his stomach, but he tightened his fists. Do what you must, but know this. We are not afraid of you. We will make our voices heard, whether you like it or not. As he spoke, a feeling of solidarity enveloped them all. People stepped forward, linking hands in defiance, their faces lit with fierce determination. The mayor tried to step back, unable to comprehend the power of their unity as it swelled around him like a storm. This was not just about standing against a powerful figure. This was about dignity, respect, and a chance to rewrite their story. Marcus could barely contain the surge of emotion welling inside him, a mixture of fear and courage that fueled his resolve. But then, amidst the cacophony, a sound sliced through the air, grating metal, screeching tires. The crowd's excitement turned to confusion, and then to silence as headlights pierced the darkness. A black SUV crept to a stop at the edge of the park. Its tinted windows concealed the occupants. "What now?" someone whispered, dread creeping back into their voices. As the engine cut off, the atmosphere shifted. Marcus felt a heavy weight descend. They were not just facing the mayor anymore, but something much larger and far more threatening. The SUV doors swung open and figures emerged, draped in suits, some familiar faces from the city council, others he recognized from old photographs. His heart sank. This was no ordinary visit. They had come with one purpose: to crush their resistance. Sensing the collective apprehension, Marcus took a deep breath, determined not to let his spirit falter. "Stay strong," he called out, but inside his mind raced. How would they confront this new challenge? Would their voices resonate with power as they had just moments before? Questions piled up, overshadowing the hope that had ignited so fiercely moments ago. And then suddenly a thought broke through. What if this was their moment? What if they could seize the opportunity to make change in ways they never imagined? And as those well-dressed figures approached, Marcus steeled himself for the fight ahead, ready to defend not just their town but the heart of their community itself. Would the fire of their resistance burn bright enough to change everything? He knew it wouldn't be easy, but what if they were destined for something greater than any of them had dared to hope for? The tension in the air was palpable as the suited figures stepped forward, their expressions cold and calculating. Each pair of eyes scanning the crowd, chilling Marcus to the bone. He could feel his heart hammering in his chest, a primal drumbeat urging him to act. This was a pivotal moment. Everything he had fought for hung in the balance. "Who do you think you are?" he shouted, voice steady despite the tremor in his gut. "You think you can just walk in here and intimidate us? We deserve to be heard." The crowd began to murmur, a ripple of uncertainty running through them. The last thing he wanted was for that fear to fester. Marcus took a step closer, channeling every ounce of bravery he possessed. "This isn't just about us. It never was. It's about our kids, about the future we're building." Henderson, infuriated by the challenge, gestured toward the newcomers. "You fools think you're standing up to something greater? We own the parks, the buildings, everything. And the council? They don't want to see you where you don't belong." A murmur of discontent erupted from the crowd at the mayor's taunt, but Marcus pressed forward. "You see those people?" he pointed passionately. "This is our community. We built it and you can't just take it away. We're standing together, we're fighting with everything we've got. And we won't back down." One of the figures stepped forward, a tall woman with sharp features, confidence radiating off her like a force field. "You think your voices matter?" she said, her tone laced with mockery. "The city has no room for the likes of you." But instead of cowering, Marcus felt the spark reigniting within him. "With all due respect," he replied, "our voices matter more than you can imagine. They carry dreams and hopes that no one can stifle. Not even you." The crowd caught his fire, their whispers turning into shouts of agreement. "Together! Together!" they chanted, the words echoing through the park like a war cry. Feeling the momentum shift, the woman narrowed her eyes. "You don't see what's at stake, do you? This isn't just a fight for your neighborhood. It's a fight for power, for control. You think ideals can hold the ground against money and politics? We don't need your type of power." Marcus insisted, his stance growing more resolute. "We have our strength and our numbers. This is our home, and we won't let you take it. So you might want to think again." Behind him he felt Jake placing a hand on his shoulder, a silent show of support. Others began to join in, stepping forward with their own stories, their voices rising in a kaleidoscope of determination. Each person carried the weight of their struggles, each tale woven into the fabric of this stand against oppression. As the crowd thrummed with energy, Marcus locked eyes with the woman. He saw uncertainty flicker for a moment, the kind of doubt that only came when faced with relentless hope. Then, without warning, a shout rose from the back, startling them all. "They can try to silence us, but we won't let them." A figure pushed through the throng, Danielle, a prominent leader from the community, arms raised high. The energy shifted again, her presence igniting a firestorm of emotion. Cheers erupted. "We are the heartbeat of this city. Let them come. We will stand strong." Marcus felt a swell of pride wash over him. This was about to become a battle, But something deep inside told him they were ready. They were prepared to fight for their voices, their children and their dreams. But in the back of his mind, doubts lurked. What if their resolve wasn't enough? What if this fight took a turn none of them were prepared for? As they chanted together, the figures before them exchanged hurried glances, and Marcus could feel an impending storm brewing. Would they be ready to face whatever would come next? He took a deep breath, heart racing with the uncertain future. They were at the brink of something monumental, and things were only going to get more intense. What would they discover about themselves and their strength in the days to come? The crowd erupted like a volcano, their voices rising and overlapping in a crescendo of defiance. Marcus could feel the weight of their collective spirit, a force that surged around him. It was more than just noise. This was hope, desperation, and determination mixed into one potent brew, one that threatened to drown out the chilling calm of the figures before them. Danielle stood at the forefront, lit up by the passion of the moment. Her face was flushed, but it was her eyes that told the real story, sparkling with fire and fresh conviction. "This isn't just about parks and buildings," she shouted, her voice slicing through the air. "This is about our lives, our children's futures. How dare you treat us like we are expendable?" The woman stepped forward again, her posture stiffening. "You're making a mistake thinking this is a winning strategy. You'll regret it." The corner of her mouth twisted in a smirk, but it didn't reach her cold eyes. With a wave of her hand, she motioned to her companions, who shifted slightly closer, shrouded in an air of intimidation. Marcus felt something snap within him. They were about to be pushed around again if they didn't stay strong. "You think we're scared?" he shouted back, tightening his fists at his sides. "Go ahead, show us what regret looks like. We don't back down. We stand as one." With each word, the energy around them crackled with intensity, electric and alive. The crowd rallied with unexpected fervor, a rhythmic chant building beneath his feet. "We stand as one. We stand as one." Each repetition made him feel larger than life. It channeled not just their desperation but their unity. For a moment he couldn't see anything but faces, friends, neighbors, strangers who had become allies overnight. Each one of them had a story that mattered. They faced loss, hardship, heartache, but never had they faced these oppressors in this way. No longer would they be pushed aside. Behind him someone shouted, "This is ours. Fight for what's right." The sound amplified like thunder, instilling a fierce resolve. But then deep inside, uncertainty pricked at him. It was one thing to scream and shout, to feel brave in the moment. What if that jumped onto a path of violence? What if all of this ended not in victory, but in discord, breaking the very community they sought to protect? Suddenly, Jake broke through his thoughts. "Marcus, look." He pointed towards the suited figures, who were now engaged in hushed conversation among themselves, and their expressions were shifting. The laughter among them had faded, replaced with looks of frustration and anger. All the chatter faded temporarily as Marcus focused on the woman. Her stance had wavered, and the hint of worry had seeped into her carefully constructed facade. "Is that fear I see?" he called out playfully but with a biting edge. "Are you starting to realize how strong we really are?" In that moment the crowd fell silent. They leaned in, watching and waiting like a dog that senses a storm. The woman's eyes flared as she shot back. "You're nothing without us. We control everything. And you'll see that soon enough. We will face you head on," Marcus shouted, voice breaking the silence, piercing into the uncertainty like a beam of light. "Our strength is in numbers, but our resolve is in our hearts. We are here to stay." Just then the wind shifted, rustling through the trees overhead, carrying a fresh aroma of rain. Out of the corner of his eye, he saw a couple of children from the neighborhood watching with wide eyes, a reminder of everything they were fighting for. It hit him that this was bigger than him, bigger than any of them. But before he could revel in that thought, a loud crack resonated through the park. A sudden sound that made everyone freeze, a voice that was loud and clear, slicing through the heavy ambience. "What's going on here?" Marcus turned just as the familiar face of the neighborhood police officer, Officer Maddox, emerged from the shadows. Would he side with their community, or would he support the very figures they sought to fight against? The air thickened with anticipation. Everything rushed back: the strength of their voices, the weight of their cause, the uncertainty that hung precariously between hope and fear. What would Officer Maddox decide? Would this pivotal moment tip the scales of their fight? As Officer Maddox stepped closer, the tension in the air intensified, thick enough to cut with a knife. His expression was hard to read, a mixture of authority and hesitance. The thrumming energy of the crowd seemed to twist around him, pulling him into their would-be uprising, yet he held a badge that whispered of loyalty to the law, not their cause. "Maddox, you've seen what they're doing to us," Marcus shouted, desperation seeping into his voice. "We're standing up for our homes, our future." The officer's gaze flickered over the crowd before settling on the suited figures, more stern than ever. "What's this really about?" His voice rose above the disquiet, a forceful demand, and the audience quieted, their breath suspended like leaves on the brink of falling. He glanced toward the suits, one bearing a smirk as if enjoying the spectacle of their defiance. "You're looking at a bunch of angry townsfolk," the woman sneered, folding her arms defensively. "But anger doesn't change things. Power does." A ripple of outrage surged through the crowd. Marcus could feel the fire burning in him again, ignited by the dismissive tone of the woman. He took a step forward, ignoring the heat behind him from friends urging him to hold back. "You think you can scare us? You're wrong. We have the strength of our community behind us." The words hung in the air, defiant but nimble, weaving threads of unease among the suits. Officer Maddox shifted, trying to maintain the thin line of neutrality. It was as if he were caught in a storm, held back by duty yet yearning for freedom. "Listen," Maddox said, his voice firm, "I understand where you're coming from, but you also have to realize the law." "Forget the law," Danielle snapped, her frustration boiling over. "The law has failed us time and time again. This isn't just about legality. It's about survival." The crowd rumbled like a growing storm, rallying around her words, voices overlapping in a gray haze of strength and fear. As the clamor rose, a glimmer of something shifted in Officer Maddox's eyes: clarity, connection, purpose. "You know what's happening here is wrong," he said at last, his voice softer now but resolute. A wave of murmurings rolled over the crowd as they leaned closer, almost as if they were inhaling his declaration. "But throwing rocks or escalating this, it won't help. We need to find a way to talk." "Talk?" Marcus echoed, skepticism painting his features. "Their kind doesn't listen. They dismiss us like we're nothing." He motioned at the suits. "We have to stand, not bend." Maddox held up a hand to quiet the dissent. "I can help. Just give me that chance. But you've got to show them your true strength without resorting to violence." Marcus felt a surge of disbelief. Could they really rely on a police officer? But then he looked around at the faces around him, determined, passionate, fueled by hope. Could they really turn this moment into something more than just noise? Before he could contemplate it further, a sharp noise cut through, a shout mingled with the sounds of sirens wailing in the distance. "More of them are coming." Jake's voice trembled with apprehension. "What do we do now?" The urgency of that moment weighed heavy. The crowd grew tense, ready to boil over with fear, anger, and frustration. Marcus squared his shoulders, heart racing at the thought of the minutes ahead. He couldn't give in now. Through the storm of emotions, he realized that this was a defining moment for them all. This wasn't just a protest, it was a reckoning. "Whatever happens next, we stand together," he shouted, that same flame igniting again. But uncertainty loomed above them like dark clouds before a storm. Would this rally transform into something powerful, a call for change, or devolve into chaos as the sirens grew louder? With everything on the line, Marcus felt the question burn in his chest. What would they choose when push came to shove? The air was electric, sharp like a whip crack, as the sirens grew closer. Marcus could feel his heart thumping in his chest, a wild drumbeat that matched the rhythm of the chaos surrounding him. He scanned the crowd, eyes darting from determined faces to anxious whispers, noting the unease creeping in. "Stay focused," he called out, forcing the words through gritted teeth. "We don't back down. We need to stay united." A low murmur rippled through the crowd, the words falling between uncertainty and resolve. Danielle stepped up beside him, fists clenched at her sides, face set in determined lines. "Maddox, if you really want to help," she urged, "now's the time to keep them away from us. We can't let this turn into a riot." Maddox nodded, but there was a flicker of doubt in his eyes. I'll do what I can, he promised, glancing over his shoulder as the uniformed officers appeared. A wall of blue and stern faces advancing toward them. Just, whatever you do, don't escalate this. The woman in the suit, who had been watching the scene unfold with bemusement, spoke again. You think you can reason with the law? Look around you. Power doesn't bow to words. Marcus turned, fists tightening. Then let us show them we have power together. With a fiery glance toward his friends, he saw shared determination reflected in their eyes. A powerful undercurrent of solidarity that surged as they surged forward in unison. The officers lined up in front of the suits, arms crossed, expressions hardened. Maddox stepped between them and the townsfolk, looming like a reluctant shield. Hey, back off a moment. I need to talk to them. With one sharp nod, he drew attention as if he wielded a magic wand. The suits exchanged glances, some appearing anxious, others sneering. He turned back to the crowd, urgency spilling from him. Listen, they may not understand your pain, your struggle, but they need to see us stand together as a community. Stand resilient. A flicker of doubt flickered within Marcus, but he swallowed it down. He couldn't let fear take the wheel. All right, if it's words they want, then we'll give them our truth. He took a step forward, pulling the crowd's energy with him. He could see his neighbors drawing in closer, forming a solid mass of hope, anger, and resolve. As if sensing the gravity of their unity, a silence descended for just a moment, thick and heavy. Then Marcus shouted, "Who are we?" The crowd responded. A roar of voices blended into one. "We are the voices that want to be silenced." The cheers rang out, and the suits visibly recoiled. Midst confusion and disbelief, Officer Maddox stood tall, his heart pounding, caught in the exhilarating whirl of a collective force. But just then, chaos erupted. A loud bang echoed, and suddenly a surge of panic broke free. Marcus's breath caught in his throat, his instincts kicking in. Stay together. Don't let them break our unity. But the crowd began to shift, faces twisted in fear. Eyes wide, hearts racing, their resolve already tested as shadows of disorder closed in. He desperately searched for Maddox, who was standing frantically between police and protesters, looking like a man caught in the middle of a storm. "Marcus!" Danielle shouted, her voice tinged with fear. "What do we do? They're coming." In that split second, as the world seemed to tilt on its axis, Marcus felt the weight of every choice ahead. His heart raced. This could either solidify their fight or splinter their cause. And then above the cacophony, a single thought blared louder than the rest. What if they didn't just want to fight, but instead were ready to change the game entirely? Something deep surged within him as he locked eyes with Maddox once more. Would he truly step up, or would fear keep them apart? With the crowd on the brink of chaos, Marcus knew the next move would define everything. What would they decide in this critical moment? In the chaos that erupted, time felt warped. Marcus's heart raced as he pushed through his panic, gathering the urgency around him like a lifeline. He swept his gaze across the crowd, catching glimpses of familiar faces twisted in fear. In that moment he realized it wasn't just about him. It was about the shared history, the community they all belonged to. "Look," Marcus yelled, breaking through the noise. "This is our moment. We can either fall apart or be the change we need." He sensed a flicker of recognition in Maddox's eyes, a spark of determination igniting amidst uncertainty. "Marcus, we need a plan," Danielle shouted over the cacophony. Her fierce gaze was a reminder of the resolve embodied in their collective spirit. "If we try to run, we'll just scatter. We need to stay here, make them understand why we're fighting." Maddox turned to the crowd, his voice booming. "You know what you want. Don't let them take it away from you. This isn't just about today. It's about every day after." Encouraged, he raised his hands to calm the swelling tide of panic. The crowd grew still, a tension-filled silence hanging heavily in the air. Marcus took a breath, grounding himself in the moment. "Follow my lead," he said. "We stand as one. We are the voices that refuse to be silenced." Their cries ricocheted through the air, echoing back, mingling with the oppressive weight of authority approaching from the police. Suddenly, every voice seemed to swell into a powerful chorus, shaking the ground beneath their feet. The officers hesitated, the shields of their uniforms momentarily battered by sheer human will. But then came another bang, this one louder and more defining. A rubber bullet whizzed through the air, ricocheting off a nearby lamppost with a deafening crack. The crowd jolted, fear ignited anew, and Marcus felt it in his gut. They were on the brink of something dark, a slip into chaos if they didn't act fast. "Stand your ground," he shouted with all his force. "We can't let fear drive us. This is our home." He squeezed Danielle's hand, squeezing tightly, seeking strength and shared resolve. "We've come too far to let them take this from us." But Maddox's voice cut through, urging Marcus to lower his tone. "No more hostility. Show them we are the people, not enemies." He cast a pleading glance toward the gathering officers. "Talk to us." The moment hung precariously, a balance between fear and fight, a poise on a knife's edge. Marcus could feel his muscles tense as he processed the weight of every heartbeat, every breath shared among them. Would they risk it all and push forward? Or would they retreat, allowing fear to dictate their path? "Who are we?" he asked once more, louder this time. "We are the voices that want to be silenced," rang out again, a reaffirming cry that filled the air with possibility. But just as hope surged, a voice came from the back of the crowd. "Someone's got to lead this." It was a young man, his face marred by a mix of determination and fear. "We need someone to take the first step." Marcus stood taller, feeling every set of eyes turn toward him. "Then let us do this together. We've fought too hard. We can change everything right here, right now." He took a step forward, urging the crowd to mirror him. But before they could unite in action, the police began pushing forward, their lines shifting in a show of force. "What now?" Danielle whispered, anxiety bubbling behind her brave facade. They were caught in a breathless standoff, with emotions surging and fear threatening to unspool their hard-won unity. As tension thickened in the air, Marcus felt a pulse of determination throbbing in his veins. Would he rise up now, or would he watch this all fall apart? The weight of uncertainty pressed in, and the answer teased at the edge of his mind. There had to be more than just standing their ground, but could they hold their unity long enough to discover it? As the police advanced, the atmosphere crackled with an energy both tense and dynamic. Marcus could feel the weight of history pressing down on him, the collective hopes and fears of his community gravitating toward this pivotal moment. He glanced around at the faces full of resilience, determination, and love. They were ready to fight, but could he channel that energy into something transformative? "Stay strong," he bellowed, his voice rising above the din. "We're not here to back down. This is about our future." The crowd echoed his words, their belief a fierce wave crashing against the barriers of fear. Officer Maddox stood at the forefront, torn but resolute. "Just give me a chance to talk to them," he called out, casting a wary look at the advancing officers. "I can't stop them, but we need to find a way through this." Marcus gripped his own resolve. "Then let's show them who we are. This isn't just noise. This is our truth." He rushed forward alongside Maddox, rallying the crowd to follow. Together, together. Each voice threaded through the air, a tapestry of hope. Feeling the momentum build, he reached into the depths of his heart, deep into the essence of community. "We stand as a family. We will not be torn apart by fear." His voice ignited something in the crowd, the palpable urge to unite in defiance, each chant waning, only to swell again, stronger each time. But just as the fervor reached a boiling point, a piercing whistle cut through the crowd. A stern voice shattered the air. "Disperse immediately. This is your only warning." Marcus's heart dropped. The officers had moved in closer, their expressions hardened, commanding authority over the helpless air. Necks craned, eyes filled with uncertainty. "Stay calm," Maddox urged again, but found himself shouting now against the rising tumult. "We need to break apart now. Let us make this peaceful. We don't want this to escalate." This was their crucial test. "No," he shouted back, the fire igniting again. "We won't let fear silence us. We're here to claim our future. This is our home." The words struck a chord within them, sending ripples of excitement through the crowd. But the officers moved in, and Marcus could feel anxiety and courage blending together, a daunting mix. Suddenly he thought about his mother and the lessons she taught him. Courage was not the absence of fear, but the decision to stand for what you believe in, no matter the cost. "Listen." He felt a surge of confidence, adrenaline coursing through him. "This isn't just about today. It's about our children taking pride in our community, in their home. We are standing up for a future that we deserve. His voice broke through, sending waves of energy rolling through everyone within earshot. The crowd reacted, albeit hesitant at first, but slowly finding strength again, standing tall against the fear pressing in. They were responses of resolve, of unity growing stronger by the second. Together, we shout for our power. Marcus shouted, waving his arms, urging them to find connection amidst the swirl of chaos. He spotted Danielle, a fierce warrior among them, eyes blazing with determination. Who's with us? Let us claim our rights. Yes, they roared, but this time it was not just a chant. It was a passionate promise, imbued with the power of collective souls rising above. The police hesitated, weighed down by the raw strength of the voices surrounding them. But then, as if sensing the dynamic shift, one of the police officers raised a baton threateningly. "Back down now," he barked. In that moment, everything hung in the balance. Marcus felt his heart racing, aware that their next decision could change everything. He looked into the eyes of his friends, family, and neighbors, their desires intertwining with the air they shared. He reached deep down, pulling from the very essence of his being. "Everyone here together," he boomed. "This is a peaceful protest, and we will not back down. What you threaten is not just money. It's heartbreak. It's a part of us." The crowd echoed back fervently, a surge of emotion lighting them up. Voices, harmonizing each word a conviction, each heartbeat a rallying point. But with ears ringing and spirits soaring, the officers were closing in, more determined than ever. "You are all stepping into chaos," they warned. Marcus felt uncertainty creeping back, gnawing at the invigorating hope they had cultivated. But he wouldn't let it win. "We are not chaos. We are a community," he cried out. "And we will transform this from a battle into a chance to be heard." Suddenly a child's voice rang out from the back, cracking through the tension. "I want to go to school." In an instant the crowd turned. The powerful reminder of their purpose washed over them. This fight wasn't just for today. It was for every child's future. The passions ignited. For a better life. For our children. The chants slipped and swirled through each heart. A barrier broke and suddenly someone stepped forward, ready to be the first to bridge the divide. It was a local woman, Cora, a teacher affected by budget cuts, with tears streaming down her face. "I'll stand with you," she shouted. "We want the chance to build, not destroy." A wave of cheers erupted in response. The shift solidified. "We stand together. We want our voices heard." The officers faltered, visibly shaken. They weren't just a group of angry citizens. They were the strong fabric of community, woven together through shared dreams and pain. Before long, the police began communicating amongst themselves, uncertainty erasing their belief in brute force. Maddox seized the moment. "Let us talk," he called, voice steady. "We can find a way." The tension simmered, suspense hanging thick in the air. But Marcus sensed their collective strength towering higher, defiance burning stronger than ever. And as the sirens wailed in the background, he felt hope, not just a glimmer, but a radiant beam of light. "Today can mark a new beginning," Marcus declared, feeling the waves of unity thrumming through him. "Maybe change is possible, and we can find our path without violence. Can we choose connection?" A powerful yes surged through the crowd, voices filled with newfound spirit, an answer uniting not just them, but a path toward a brighter tomorrow. As the officers took a step back, some tension still hung in the air, but the stage had transformed. The crowd became a living force, a current of resolve and unity, ready to wield their future together. Finally, they were no longer just a tumult of fear and anger. They were a thriving community, armed with clarity, ready to fight for their dreams, not just today but for generations to come. "Let us start this journey together," Marcus shouted, feeling the warm caress of hope wrap around them. "This is only the beginning." And under the glow of the streetlights, against the backdrop of uncertainty, a transformational spark lit the air, nourishing the seeds of change planted deep in their hearts. If there were moments that mattered, this was their moment. And as Marcus stood shoulder to shoulder with his neighbors, he realized they weren't merely standing against something. They were rising for everything. Hope danced brightly, and in unity they embraced the dawn of a new day together, hearts radiating the promise of a shared future. Now is the time to act, to forge ahead, to create change. Only together could they rewrite the narrative, transforming fear into strength and dreams into reality, one step at a time. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.